Melissa Harris had always been the type of nurse you'd want by your side in a hospital. She had steady hands, a calm demeanor, and the rare ability to comfort even the most anxious patients. But on the inside, she was slowly falling apart. If you are new to this channel, kindly subscribe for more true stories like this. Her life, once full of promise, was now marred by grief and addiction. The loss of her husband, Jason, in a tragic car accident caused by a drunk driver shattered her world. She buried her pain in long hours at the hospital, working double shifts, and pretending she wasn't broken. But the grief was suffocating, and the memories of Jason's smile haunted her during every quiet moment. It started innocently, just a pill to numb the sharp edges of the pain. A mild sedative to get through the toughest nights. But soon, the medications weren't enough. She was already drowning in grief, and now, she was adding addiction to the mix. What would you do if you were in Melissa's shoes? Would you have succumbed to your pain? Or would you have found a different way to survive? Hit the like button if you can relate, and leave your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe for more shocking true crime stories that will leave you questioning the line between right and wrong. As the months went by, Melissa's reliance on prescription drugs grew. At first, she told herself that she was just taking a few extra pills to get through the day. A hydrocodone here, a few extra benzodiazepines there, just to cope with the constant stress of her shifts. It was harmless, she convinced herself. But soon, the drugs weren't enough. She became skilled at covering her tracks, slipping unused vials of medication into her pockets, altering inventory logs to cover the discrepancies. She always chose drugs that were harder to trace, and she was careful not to take too much from any single supply. Her colleagues never suspected anything. To them, Melissa was still the same trusted nurse. But her addiction was growing, and so was the danger. Every day, Melissa's hands trembled a little more, her body growing more and more dependent on the substances that were supposed to help. She felt like a shell of her former self, and yet, no one knew the battle she was fighting. One evening, after a long shift, everything came crashing down. During a routine narcotics inventory check, a supervising nurse noticed discrepancies. Missing vials, altered logs, irregular access times. It was only a matter of time before someone connected the dots. The next morning, the hospital administration called Melissa in. They laid out the evidence. Everything was there, and it was undeniable. At first, Melissa denied everything. She tried to explain her pain, her grief, but deep down, she knew there was no escaping it. The weight of the accusations crushed her. Finally, in tears, she confessed. Her addiction, her lies, it was all exposed. The hospital terminated her immediately and reported her to the state nursing board. Her license was revoked. With her career shattered, Melissa's addiction spiraled further. Without a steady income, she sold everything she could, her furniture, her personal belongings, even the jewelry she had left. She spent her last savings on street drugs. The woman who had once healed others was now in a battle she couldn't win. She found herself in cheap motels, hiding from everyone who cared about her. She had become a shadow of the woman she once was, a slave to her addiction. But deep inside, Melissa knew something had to change. She couldn't live like this anymore. She couldn't survive like this. She had to find a way out. But how? One day, in a Narcotics Anonymous meeting, Melissa met Tony, a man who had been clean for 2 years. After the meeting, Tony approached her. He saw through her mask, the sadness, the desperation. "You've got a good heart, Melissa," Tony said, offering her a cup of coffee. "I know a guy who's looking for a nurse. He's not in great health, but he's well off, works at a bank. It could be a fresh start. Honest work." If you are enjoying this video, kindly like and subscribe for more true stories like this. Melissa was taken aback. A new job? For the first time in a long time, she saw a chance, not just for a fresh start, but for something more. Tony made good on his promise. A week later, Melissa met Henry Walsh, an elderly man who needed private care. He was a wealthy businessman, and his family insisted he have someone help him manage his health. Melissa quickly earned Henry's trust. She was the perfect caregiver, on time, professional, and attentive to his every need. Henry grew to depend on her not just for medical care, but for companionship. And Melissa played her part well, a steady, reliable presence in Henry's life. But Melissa didn't just care for Henry. She was carefully observing his world, his wealth, his access, and the information she would need to make her plan a reality. As weeks passed, Henry grew more comfortable with Melissa. He would share details about his work, his banking operations, and occasionally, even the vault that held his wealth. Melissa listened carefully, absorbing every detail. One evening, Henry casually asked her to retrieve something from his safe. He punched in the code without hesitation, and as he did, Melissa watched. She memorized the sequence, the code, the key fob, the layout of the office. Her nurse's instinct to observe and take note was now an asset in her criminal plot. The opportunity was before her, but she pushed the thought away. It felt absurd, but it lingered. Days turned into weeks, and Melissa's observations became more methodical. She studied the timing of security guard shifts, the scheduling of cash deliveries, and the layout of Henry's office. She was no longer just a nurse, she was a planner. Every piece of information she gathered became another building block for her heist. Melissa wasn't just observing anymore, she was planning the perfect crime. The night of the heist arrived. Melissa's team, carefully selected individuals she knew from her past, was ready. She had trained them, had prepared them for this moment. The plan was set. Melissa made sure that Henry was sedated, keeping him in his room, unaware. Meanwhile, Paul, a former security guard, gained access to the vault. Rachel, a tech-savvy woman, hacked into the security system, and Eric, a logistics expert, loaded the cash into duffel bags. The operation was smooth, calculated and precise. The team moved quickly and efficiently. The money was theirs. At a safe house, the team counted the cash, $10 million. It was more than they had ever dreamed of. The perfect crime, they thought. They celebrated briefly, but Melissa's mind was already working. The hardest part was ahead, laundering the money, hiding the evidence, and ensuring no one traced it back to them. Melissa knew that the true test was just beginning. As the days went on, cracks began to show. Paul's reckless spending caught the attention of others. He bought a new car, went on expensive nights out. Rachel, the tech-savvy woman, was overwhelmed by the sheer volume of money to launder. Eric started to distrust Melissa, questioning her control over the situation. The tension within the group was palpable. They had pulled off the heist, but now they had to deal with the consequences. Meanwhile, at the bank, the security team launched a full audit. One of the backup cameras had captured something strange. A grainy figure entered the vault. It wasn't enough to identify them, but the investigation was gaining speed. Melissa's carefully constructed world was beginning to unravel. The authorities were getting closer. Henry, once the man who trusted her completely, had begun to question her. He confronted Melissa, accusing her of being involved in the robbery. The words hit her like a ton of bricks. "I know about the robbery," Henry said, his voice filled with disbelief. The shock in his eyes was cutting. The truth was out. As the investigation closed in, Melissa panicked. She had to destroy the evidence, and quickly. She returned to the bank under the cover of night, erasing the video files and replacing them with harmless footage. But she knew it was only a matter of time before the truth came to light. It didn't take long for the police to trace the evidence back to Melissa. Her team fell apart under pressure. Paul, reckless as always, was caught first, and his confession led to the unraveling of the rest of the operation. Rachel broke under the pressure and provided details, implicating everyone involved. Eric, the most cautious, was finally caught when a routine traffic stop revealed his identity. In the end, Melissa was arrested. She received 25 years for masterminding the heist, while her team faced various sentences for their roles in the crime. What do you think? Did Melissa deserve a second chance, or did her actions go too far? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more true crime stories that will keep you on the edge of your seat.